Hi, folks, and welcome to Film Optimist, where we talk about movies with autism. I'm your co-host, Seth Boyd.
I am Megan Tierney Flores.
And Megan, we're talking about one of your favorite movies today.
That's accurate. I'm thinking about the rewatch, but I will say that that's accurate, Seth.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this one, I think we've talked a few times. The podcast started out of you and I just during COVID, I think, doing
Yep,
like a list and kind of talking it through. And that was very fun. I thought the
for
Truman Show
sure.
was on there, but it's a movie you've recommended on the podcast and recently.
Right.
So we decided to kind of make this the year of Weir after doing Master and Commander to go back and watch this.
Yeah.
So, um, how did it hold up for you on rewatch? And just kind of general, what does this movie mean to you?
I was gonna say it very well might have been on my list. It's one of those things where I was kind of going willy-nilly there almost, I feel like. But it
Mhm.
is an important movie, and I know that I recognize for sure that I've talked about it on the podcast
Yeah.
because I think a lot of things remind me of this movie, especially like as
Mm,
we're going through the list of
sure.
my never-ending list of movies that I haven't seen. So what a change here.
Yeah.
But this one was one where I definitely like sought out this movie by myself. Like I
Mm.
watched it, I'm sure, in high school, by myself, like on my school's laptop. I was also thinking about
Nice.
like streaming didn't exist then, so how did I watch this movie? It certainly had to
It
have
was
been
pirating, right?
stolen. It
Yeah.
had to have been. I had to think for, I was like, how did I watch? I can't tell you how I watched movies back then, but I watched a lot of movies by myself, like when we
Yeah.
were first like curious and getting started about it. And this one was one of them. And it was a really fun rewatch for me too. I think I remember like thinking about it very, I was almost like like a spooky or like a thriller vibe when I
Yeah.
watched it then. And now
Mm.
there's so much more like humor to it, and I recognize
Hmm.
that it gets into that parody like level that I love so much that
Yeah.
I really like gravitate towards in film now. But I think it's like that transition of like it used to be kind of this spooky situation that Truman's in
Sure.
as a kid, and now I'm seeing it definitely from a kind of I think the higher brow aspect of what they were trying to point at, I guess, and get at, and it's really fun to see it in that way too. So,
Nice.
I'm excited to always excited to dive in, but really excited to dive into this one.
Yes, fantastic. I'm so glad to hear you say, and I think it is a funnier movie than I remembered as well. And
Right?
I think I've only seen this movie with commercials because the only place I could find it streaming was on Pluto TV.
I did the
Uh,
same.
oh my God, yeah. So I kind of feel like we watched this the right way because I would
Yeah.
also, as someone who also pirated a lot of great movies, you know,
Hmm.
back in the day on websites that I don't even remember how I found them.
Yep.
I used to have the back catalog. You probably might have had a friend whose older brother told you about a site or something. But
Hmm.
a lot of these sites, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, listeners who are too young or too old, are just you follow by the rules. There'd be a lot of these weird sites which just have so many pop-ups come up, and sometimes you had a really bad edit, like a really bad quality of a
For
movie,
sure. Not the
and
best
often
quality.
yeah. And often it would also just like after you watch like two movies, you were just done for the day. Like you couldn't watch something else on there. Like there'd be like these hour limits. So yeah,
It's
weird,
interesting.
weird problems that we don't really have anymore, although I think most of these sites still exist, just under different
Yeah.
names.
Except for the
Um,
new problems of, I'm so glad you watched it on
yeah.
Pluto because the irony of these ads coming up where I thought, oh my God, is
Yeah.
that the movie or what is
Oh,
happening?
absolutely. Okay, so I gotta say, in general, I really like that Pluto and Tubi exist. These are both
Yeah.
free apps, and Pluto is especially cool because they have a lot of live TV channels. Like
Hmm.
there's one that just shows old westerns or
Yeah.
episodes of, you know, Andy Griffith Show. Or
Yeah.
I think there's a couple episodes dedicated to Star Trek. So that's kind of fun if you miss live TV and you don't pay for cable.
Yeah.
But the ads you get are really weird. They're like the ads that you
Hmm.
get on your phone if you're playing a game. Like you get ads for paid solitaire. At least that's what I was getting a lot of. Like you might have a real like car manufacturer. Like there'll be a Honda ad. It'll be like Miller or something. And then a lot of really weird, who's paying for this? Why does this product exist?
Yeah.
Really cheap looking ads. So
That's fun. I don't know if I got well, I'm getting really adept at like muting. If I'm
Good.
watching on my
Yeah.
laptop, I'll mute
Okay.
but that sounds fun. I would have enjoyed that
Yeah.
a little more.
They're odd. Yeah, I think so. Keep watching Pluto TV.
Wow.
Folks, we haven't even
Hmm.
described what this movie is yet. So, Megan, do you want to describe it?
It's an ad, but yes, I will just it's so, I mean, okay, so well, the plot of the Truman Show,
Mhm.
if people don't know, it's that our main character, I forget his last name, but Truman is the
Burbank.
main character. Yes, Truman Burbank. Yeah,
Hmm.
Burbank. Yeah, that's a little irony in there too. But anyway,
Yeah.
he is the sole star of a television show called The Truman Show that has been playing. It's a reality TV show, basically. I kind of wonder
Yeah.
if it blurs the lines there a little bit, but he
Hmm.
has been recorded his whole life, literally since birth up until I believe he's 30 years old now. And everything in his life is fabricated into this TV show, and it's the number one TV show out there. It's everybody's soap. His life has been kind of conducted for him to
Hmm.
move the plot along in certain ways. So the movie itself goes through it's a really like fun way of editing too, because we're going back and forth
Mm.
between the shots of the camera being the quote unquote Truman Show, what people would be seeing at home, but then
Right.
pretty sparingly it'll go to what could be called like audience reactions of people watching,
Hmm.
and or the people who created this show, the creators, with the main creator being played by Ed Harris. He's
Yeah.
Christoph.
Love the
Um,
one word name director. Just
and
establishing right away this is a artiste.
really sinking into it with
Yeah.
his little sweater and
Oh, it's a great fit
beret.
actually, but yeah. Little
Yeah.
glasses, yeah.
And Truman's world starts to unravel as he understands his predicament, basically. He's
Hmm.
starting to recognize that something's just not right in this town.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, and like I just want to hit on what you're saying too. It's very cool because you do have a lot of these like there's a camera in his dashboard or in his mirror, and
Yep.
so you have a lot of
Yeah.
shots of like him going through his routine, and so you have a lot of uh what looks like a reality show, quote unquote
Hmm.
reality show, and then you have a lot of looks like a regular movie, and then cutting between, yeah, like you said, the audience and everything, and it's it's 1998 when this movie came out, and reality TV
Mm.
has looks very different now. Like I think
Yeah.
you definitely had cops and you had some really older things like that, but what a reality show was, what people would watch. This is I think before Big Brother came out, or maybe it
Yeah.
came out the same year.
Probably.
And that I think that's one of the first kind of like nothing really happens. There's not a competition, just people are around
Hmm.
shows. So I got to ask, as a teenager, becoming a cinephile, what did you hear about this movie that made you seek it out? Like I gotta watch this, I gotta go on one of these sites and look for it.
It's a good question. It's hard to remember really. I think it probably was as many things were for me then, like aesthetically driven. Like I was a big
Sure.
I think I wonder if it's this simple, but like I was a big Tumblr person, and probably like the
Hmm.
finals, him walking up the steps was a
That's a great
repost
shot. It looks
of,
very
and it
cool.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And very striking and like very distinct to I think this movie,
Hmm.
which is nice. That's like what a goal to have that cinematography wise, but that might be that literally might be it. And I
That
think
makes
that
perfect sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
just plot wise, you like the Truman Show effect is almost like a
Yeah.
adjective now. So
Hmm.
you kind of it was one like I knew that it drew back to this movie specifically. So I knew it
Sure.
was important in some regard, and I think it still is, really.
Very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say this aesthetically looks like a movie you would like, and
Hmm.
kind of jumping ahead of ourselves here, but in doing some research for this episode, was delighted to see that Greta Gerwig reached out to Peter Weir and
Oh,
to have questions about the set for
nice.
Barbie Land and what that looks
Yep.
like, and kind of picked his brain a little bit, which while he's essentially retired, it was lovely to hear that he's still kind of doing things like that. Like feel free to give him a call,
Fun.
reach out to him, and he'll answer questions because um, obviously we're doing this right after doing another Peter Weir movie, Master Commander, which is a very
Yeah.
different movie, except that they both have incredible, massive sets more than you'd
Yeah.
think that
It's
are also
true.
kind of sea based. Obviously, the set's not as big as they
Yeah.
imply it is. I love the line that the Truman Show set in Hollywood is like one of, along with the Great Wall of China, can be seen from space.
Yeah.
And but aesthetically, there is definitely this 50s nostalgia thing going
Hmm.
on. Um, with everything is in the show. Like the fashion is very much that. There's a lot of pastel colors. I mean,
Hmm.
former guest, my wife Anne and I watched this together, and she pointed out that Truman's clothes are all always power flashing in a way that is just a
Oh.
parent or loved one didn't just tell him, "Hey, don't do that." He was always wearing a
Oh.
louder outfit than everyone else, and then like
Yeah.
people will be wearing 50s clothes, but he's wearing a checkered sweater, a striped
Yep.
shirt, and like bold socks and all that. And it's not too loud, but it is an interesting choice
Yeah.
of and there's a lot of subtle things like that, but yet the clothes and the town definitely have this the good old days vibe, which is
Yep.
you get a little bit of a um manifesto from Christoph, from the director,
For
about
sure.
I'm when he's towards the end, I'm like, this is a better life, this is a more pure, simple life.
Yeah.
Which I didn't remember that as being part of it, but it was also very fun watching that in this political climate, thinking about, kind of reminded me of our Stepford Wives episode of
I
my general
agree.
fear of the suburbs or a small town that has
Yeah.
this, why would you want to go anywhere else
Yeah.
mentality. Um,
Just even the gall of that statement is
yes.
really funny. And to come from the maniac of Kristoff is really
Right.
funny too.
Absolutely. So we gotta ask, were you like a Jim Carrey fan ahead of this? I think we need to address that.
That's
He's
a
done serious
good,
movies. This is,
yeah.
I think, my favorite serious movie he's done. It's also fairly early in his career of, doing, not being Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, Jim
Yeah.
Carrey.
It's this movie is really a throwback because I haven't
Yeah,
really revisited in 10 plus years or whatever. So I remember I saw like I we would watch like Ace Ventura with my dad maybe, and then
sure.
I wasn't super. I think I watched like half of The Mask like via VHS, in a basement somewhere. So it was like that kind of vibe.
Right.
Like I really hadn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't a super, and I was trying to remember if I had seen Eternal Sunshine's at the
Mm,
Spotless Mind yet,
yeah.
which I remember liking, but again, I was too young to have seen it. I was 14 or 15 and being like,
Right.
oh yes, this is great. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Right.
But I think overall I was in like when I saw this, I remember I can't even to be honest, I can't remember the plot much of Eternal Sunshines, but I remember
Sure.
like Truman Show a lot. So
Okay.
this one is probably I think it would be safe to say maybe my favorite Jim Carrey movie for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. And I'll kind of say my stance too. Like, it definitely, Jim Carrey is someone, it's kind of weird to me that he's popular with adult audiences because so much of his humor
Yeah,
is so clown-like and so juvenile. It is doing silly faces, and sometimes that could be great. Something that can really hit the spot. So nothing against him, but
it's
um,
true. Hmm.
and his those, what were they? Like, yeah, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and Ace Ventura did happen. I think really short succession did propel him to being this, superstar person.
Yeah.
Because that all happened so quickly. Um, I know people who, well, I've heard the theory, and I think it makes sense. One of the reasons the Sonic movies are so popular is because he's kind of playing that level of silly character again, and people were missing that. So
That's good.
I think
Yeah.
I think he's fine. I don't know too much about him. I know he definitely went over the deep end, some really unprofessional ways getting the character for the Andy Kaufman movie,
Mm.
Man in the
Yeah.
Moon, to the point where like
Hmm.
a documentary came out about that a couple of years ago. And I kind of wonder if that's why he hasn't won an Oscar. Because you think about
Interesting.
his
Yeah.
career, I've been dwelling on this during this episode. By the time this has come out, it's not that long after Tom Hanks has won two Oscars in a row, right? For
Okay. Hmm.
Philadelphia and oh my God, Forrest Gump. So someone who is
Yeah.
definitely a comedian then wins two Oscars in dramatic roles.
Yeah.
But obviously he's not the first one. You have Robin Williams, he had a lot of other people going way back to Hollywood, but I think there was probably a pressure, if not on him consciously, his agent or somebody, of we gotta recreate that situation again. We need to take
Hmm.
a real clownish type of guy and get him in serious roles or something. I don't know. Maybe it was just he wanted to expand, but he's been in like 4 or 5 much more serious movies, and this is, I think, the
Nice.
pinnacle of it because he gets to be kind of silly in this movie. There's, it's
He
the
does.
Truman character is a silly guy
Yeah.
in general, and you have him breaking down. So,
Very, very
of
cartoonish.
realizing this, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that he got a lucky strike with this movie because he really is doing a lot and like
hmm
I was trying to I think it's a really good fit, to be honest. I
yes,
was like it would be really hard to sell this idea, and like there's just a lot going on of like, because I think of, well, this guy's been isolated. He's like he's got to be a little nuts, and so that's going on in your
sure,
mind, and like
yeah,
the psychological aspect is I'm thinking about too, and I think it works because he's it's kind of Jim Carrey. Like I think that he's so zany and
hmm
like um he's just kind of I do think that he like embodies what's kind of happening around him pretty understandably. But also it to me the script's so funny, like he's so cheesy and like just weird the way that he speaks and like the way that everybody speaks. And
hmm
so it's kind of fun to like think of this world and like this
hmm
is one that especially in the second watch, I like, you really have to suspend your disbelief about how the whole thing works because I would be like, well, why did the extras like, why was their whole thing to go around in a circle or so, or like on this set?
right.
It made no sense at all. But so to kind of throw that away and stuff, but the way that he reacts, at least to the world around him, I thought was kind of pretty believable.
hmm No, I think that's a great. I mean, also just think about like how many people are involved in this. It's like thousands of people,
Yeah.
because think about the shifts, and also it would be such a horrible job to live on the island.
Yeah.
Like, like to
I was like,
be,
workers' rights are
yeah,
non-existent
exactly.
here.
Like everybody. I mean, um, podcast favorite Paul Giamatti is in here
Hmm.
pivotally in the later part of the movie as the guy who loses track of him and doesn't realize it. And it's a
Yep.
big problem. But like, yeah, how any of this works, but I think to your point, like, yeah, there's one of his kind of pieces of evidence is he's trying to show his wife that like there's just 3 people walking around on a loop. They're just going to keep
Yeah.
passing, and it is very, you know, it's creepy.
Hmm.
Just see these kind of drone like people, but it's like, yeah, if you're planning this, if you're Christoph or whoever, is really doing the set design here, and you didn't think past, well, what if he doesn't what if he doesn't drive to work that day? He doesn't just
Yeah.
pass these
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
but so I think for me, this is very existentially horrifying in that not only is this happening, but so many people are doing this to him, and for what?
It's
So many
true.
people are involved in this and
Hmm.
are worsening their lives.
It was
Um,
strange. And it seemed
yeah,
like they were like fans of the show as well. Like they knew what was
they
happening.
yeah, they seem to think they're doing something important because like Kristoff definitely has
Right.
that kind of almost cult leader like thing of
Yeah.
this is the most pure work of television, if
Yep.
not art. you
Yeah. But
know
even like the extras that were like, it's him. Like he was like this
yeah,
little star of this
right.
town, and that could be really messy really fast. Like I don't it's just a strange
Yeah,
it's strange parameters that this show exists,
right.
basically.
Yeah, and I did love the montage later in the movie. If you have people who throughout the years tried to tell him, like somebody
Yep. Yeah,
jumps,
yeah.
it's like it's Christmas Day and somebody jumps out of a present saying, "You're out on TV,
Hmm.
Truman, get out of here,"
Yeah.
and just a series of people being hauled off.
Yep.
Um, definitely, um, definitely a little forgot about this coming out a year before The Matrix is two very different interpretations of the cave, kind of.
Oh yeah,
Someone tries to tell you what reality is.
for
But
sure.
do
Hmm.
you think the cultural like assessments work? Do you think the like predictions about reality TV are anything that you think this movie say is sane? Do they stick with you on a rewatch and then, year 2025 as opposed to watching
Mm.
high school?
I mean, I it's a good question. I wasn't a huge, I should say, like reality TV person,
Yeah.
ultimately, because it's one of those, it is like an uncanny valley area where you're
Hmm.
like, I don't know, you just don't touch life. You like, and now
Yeah.
I think the gripe is that it's so fabricated and so like, I think like you associate the like love or reality TV shows for like finding love or whatever are so it's
Mm,
it's of course toxic, but like it's specifically pitted like I did watch like some real like ones that I shouldn't basically growing up, and it was very
sure.
much about let's pit these women together against Brett Michaels or whatever the hell was the main
Rocket
guy,
Flowers. Yeah.
which is so weird. So there's like
Yeah.
there's that aspect of it where it's just so you recognize how exploitative it is, and this movie is, if anything, just to show the ultimate and so much gaslighting, so much exploitation.
Mm,
Like it's
yeah.
very that's where it almost gets into the parody aspect, but maybe not quite. I mean, that is the I find that that is a accurate representation of even actors, like maybe even like the media industry in general, the acting
Yeah.
industry in general. Like that could be, I think uh that could fit for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think just you know, you think about the audience again, which I definitely forgot. You keep getting flashbacks to this diner. I did not remember that it's the Truman Diner, and that this is literally
Yeah.
like a diner dedicated to Truman that has,
Mm-hmm.
again, looks like a 50s diner thing, and um has dedicated staff watching this all day in a big audience, and that's disturbing to me too. Because like
Yeah.
that's, you know, you meet someone who is like only, if you have a friend or someone in your life who only watches reality TV, is alarming the amount of reality TV they watch. And I've fallen into some of the more popular ones. I'm not going to out myself any particular show. It's like, yeah, I watched one episode and then I watched eight, and now I'm really pissed off. I
Yeah.
wasted a lot of time, and nothing's resolved. You know, like this is not
Yeah.
a good feeling. Like it is often compared to junk food, and I think it's fair. So there's like,
Wow.
what are you getting out of this?
Yeah.
Um, and I think the lengths people, the amount of time people would spend on just doing that is concerning, but it's also does just come out of wanting to know more about people. Is
Yeah.
ultimately
It's true.
it, and every audience member is, you know, this movie does have a happy ending, folks. He does literally sail away to the end of his little world and exit, and it's a
Yeah.
really great shot. We should talk about it more, but everyone's happy. Everyone who watches the show is happy for Truman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's probably where you get some of the most surreal imagery, because you do also have a great surreal imagery happening throughout, of just like one of the first things in the movie is a camera falls, and
Yeah.
I feel like no one even tries to
Or
explain to
a
him what it
light,
is. It's a light.
like a
Yes, there's
stage
some.
light. Yeah.
That's right. I think there's some like newscast of it, like it was a plane crash or something silly like that. Does not make
Yeah.
sense, but um like you said, that people have probably seen that image of him walking kind of up the clouds up the stairwell, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it still really worked on me, and it sounds like it did for you as well.
Yeah. It did it that aspect did, and like I kind of, you were saying something, I kind of lost my train of thought too, but
No,
it's
sorry.
just that he no, you're fine. Um but yeah, just that he's, and it's also like the people it's almost more than that too, because it is so constructed that
Hmm.
there's his life isn't his own really. So
Right.
there, and he like thinks it is. It's hard to. It's like watching someone in a cage that doesn't know they're in the zoo or whatever, and
Yeah.
so that aspect's very interesting, and his innocence is kind of reflected in that, and uh, I think I like the unravel as well. That's always like the fun part, and
Hmm.
I think it is pretty natural. Like I say, like his reactions to things are. So I remembered my piece. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
that he's also so honky happy dory, like 50s guy
Hmm.
is, and people like have fallen in love with that aspect of it, it's nice to see someone break out of that, out of like a mold of
Mm,
the digestible American guy or dude or whatever, and
right.
be happy and curious. And
Mm,
it's an element of love too. He's going after his destination is Fiji because
mm,
his love of his life way back when, his fling, I guess. Her
mm.
that was also a really funny scene. Her dad's like he's throwing out all these things of when he's bringing her back in the car of like
Yeah.
schizophrenic, like sorry,
Tells us to
she's
all her
crazy.
boyfriends. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was hilarious. But he said that they were moving to Fiji as his line, and then
Hmm.
so that becomes Truman's next destination on the map of where he would like to travel.
Hmm.
So it is all kind of about a girl, really.
And I think it's um I definitely feel for the actress who plays his wife, like the character,
I
because
know.
she, you have to be married to this guy that you
Hmm.
don't love, and as he says towards the end, like you don't even like me, and just this like
Yep.
the director Christoph again for whatever reason thought the show was better if he marries this person when there was a woman who he had a real connection with who is removed from the show forcibly, and so
Right.
um yeah, so there's a happy ending that, and we should note that actress has, I don't think she's done as much lately, but Natasha McCorn, I think, is
Hmm.
I really like her in this. She's also in the American remake of Solaris that is honestly pretty good. Steven
Oh,
Soderbergh did, but she's great. So love to
nice.
see her in more movies. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is kind of, and it's one of those weird movies where you don't really feel like the guy is cheating because his wife doesn't like him either.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a TV show,
Or yeah. Right. We know.
So
Hmm.
um, it's one of those really weird films you can root for the guy leaving his wife and
Yeah.
the homewrecker. Um, but I think one of my favorite sequences of this is because he's pretty early on in the movie, saying like he just wants to travel, he just wants to fly,
Hmm.
and he goes to the travel agency that has all of the funniest, worst, you know, it's like a plane that has been struck by lightning is what it happens. Says it could happen to you, and
Yeah.
you know,
It could.
terrorists, drunk. There's like a list of like terrorists, which is 98, and all these other, storms. All this, is it worth it? And tells Truman
Hmm.
the only first available flight off the island is in 2 months or something. So,
Hmm.
um, again, it shows the limitations of the show of like you can only control a person so much, and a big component because they know obviously we can't have explore too much is they tried to make him afraid of water really early, and that's
Hmm.
ultimately resulted in killing his dad in a uh, boating accident that
Yep.
his the woman who plays his mother will keep casually remind him is his fault. And
Mom issues just baked
yeah.
in there.
Right?
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, so it was quite a movie. um it
it's a
was
lot.
it was more political than I remember because you do have this ultimate kind of question of corporations because there's the
Yep.
point of this is the first baby adopted by a corporation. um
Yeah.
and uh I don't think
That's
we've talked about
right.
this as much, but Peter Weir, we probably talked about this in our Picking Rock episode. He did come up in this Australian New Wave in the 70s along with George Miller and Mad Max. So this was definitely like a
Mm.
political film movement that
Hmm.
he's raised in. And this movie, well, you have a lot of pastels, you have a lot of pretty things, is angrier than I remembered it being in this way of
Yeah.
you know, I think also as a filmmaker, I'd be kind of angry about the idea of this show would get made, but I might not get my next movie made,
Mm. Oh
you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the like the advertisement stuff work for you throughout it too?
Oh yeah, I forget that's also with the ethics if you just have ads throughout it. Because obviously you can't cut to
Oh.
commercial break. I think it's perfect in getting the aesthetic of it, because his wife is in the middle of a fight with him and just says, "You got to try this new cocoa,"
Yep.
and is reading the copy. And
Yes.
I thought it's again, you have to spend just at least a little bit of it's taken him a long time to realize that people are doing this to him constantly,
Yep.
you know?
I know.
And it's not because he's acting out of character by confronting her about something else and just by being angry. She does not know what to do. But I liked it. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot. It reminded me of I don't know. Jokes about old commercials are funny to me. There's something like about that type of advertising that
Yeah.
any parody of it just works for me. I don't know what it is. Just the the very old school direct, insanely wide smile with
Yeah.
whatever I'm selling you is going to make you smile
Product
like
in
this.
hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Product in hand, light, bright lighting. It's just kind of fun. And I don't say like I miss it, but it's kind of nice when an ad is just that straightforward rather than
Yeah.
some convoluted thing. And you know, again, watching this movie was the first time seeing ads in a while. So
Right.
I kind of enjoyed
Yeah.
them more than most of the ads I saw. So
I
what
know.
about you?
Same. I started playing a game of like there were extremely overt obvious ads, and that was
Sure.
the plot line. Like part of the plot line is they
Yeah.
became just insane. But
Hmm.
it was really fun to like see if there were any like try to see if there were any subtle ones like
Oh,
in there. And I
yeah.
think there were. I should have written it down. I was kind of watching on a whim, and then the freaking Pluto ads were starting were coming in, and so it was getting a little wishy-washy there.
That's
But there
fair.
were like I think there was some really like clever camera work where I
Mm.
loved that always the label was like always
Oh, yeah,
shown.
right.
Like that's a big part of it. The beer one, his friend brings the same six pack of beers every time.
That's right. Yeah.
And he says, "Now that's a beer." And when he's drinking it, like I thought that
See, I
was
forgot that. I really like the guy who's plays his friend too. I think he's great in
yes.
this. And again,
I
we
was trying
sort
to see if
of
he's like the guy from is he like the I thought he was the bully from Back to the Future, but I maybe not.
I don't think he is, but that they look very similar.
They do.
They I feel like an asshole for forgetting the guy's name, but hold on.
The actor
But
is
this guy's Noel Emmerich.
yeah, that's it.
Um and he's very good in the show the Americans. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I just Thompson F. Wilson, kind of a hard name to remember, but
Really?
look this up. He does, I think, certain level of stand-up, does speak engagements, and he's composed a song that will go viral occasionally of him answering all the questions he gets frequently, especially about playing Biff. So
Biff. Mm-hmm.
has
Oh,
just a quick little, what was it like working with everybody in that because he's so recognized with the one role. So,
good for
I mean,
him.
he's done other things. He's
He's a
asshole for years, and
yeah, he's the other guy.
yeah,
Kind of.
exactly.
He's very distinct looking.
He is. He's great. I mean, he has. Again, going back to like he should have figured something out. I couldn't tell at first if it was high school or college, but they do say it's college. So
I don't know.
this is his college friend. Maybe before that, they go to the same college, and then Truman has an office job. I think he has like an insurance salesman job. And then his friend is
Yeah.
just literally stocking shelves. He's
Oh yeah.
refilling vending machines. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, did you guys really go to the same college? And how's that the job you got with the college? Like someone
Yeah.
you and I think it's often supposed to be a you've got it really good, man. You've got a house and a desk job.
Yeah.
Um,
A
it seems so
wife,
large.
probably.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I don't think
hmm
friend has a wife.
He's just alone with his can of beers or a six pack
Right.
of beers
Six
every
pack of
time.
beers. Always going to like this road construction thing or something.
hmm
Also, I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of nuts. The first like full day, he spends so little. Truman spends so little time with his wife. Like after work, he's gardening. Then he's just like out with this guy for a while,
Yeah.
and like I, Megan, we both live with our spouses. I'm not usually like gone for 6 hours after work day ends.
Yeah. It is. And her role was kind of uncomfortable. She was a little bit like maternal, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
he was
Hmm.
just kind of down with that and like that was it. So that was
Yeah.
strange.
That's
Poor
true. I
Truman.
think that could have been fleshed out a little bit
hmm
more interestingly because and again she's a nurse in like a 1950s nurse uniform
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Right.
again with the whole aesthetic thing but yeah he um doesn't question things until he does you know
Yeah.
uh what do you think of the
It's true.
music?
It was good. I remember I can't think of too much of it, but I remember there was a piece where I really like when there was a scene. I liked when they would cut to
Yeah.
what we're seeing supposed to be as the audience, and
Hmm.
there was a scene where there was like a piano player that was playing
Oh, that's Philip
the
Glass. That's the
music that was
composer, Philip Glass. That's
piping
a
in to the
fun little
show.
cameo. Yeah.
That was yeah, that was fun. That was a
Yeah.
good part of it. It really, I mean, of course it helps with the elements of it was very, very dramatic. Like the
Hmm.
goal was it really felt like a telenovela or something like that. You
Yeah.
know, it was that level of drama, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
And I like that it kind of teeter-tottered between
Hmm.
the movie film, the movie music and and the Truman Show, the show.
That's a great point because yeah, you do have we haven't even got to it, so it's like there's a lot of dramatic things that have to happen to stop him.
Hmm.
So like again, we mentioned the girlfriend from college or the woman he's very interested in. They kind of sneak off, and
Yeah.
she's among other things trying to tell him like this is all fake. You got to get out of here. And then that is like police cars and fire trucks and her dad just like coming on the beach to pick them
Yep.
up, and it's very kind of chaotic music with that, and then in an attempt to leave the island earlier, like later in the movie, there's full on like hazmat suits out, and they say there's been like a
Yeah.
radiation leak, and you know, there's
Yeah.
some they try to convince them there's a forest fire, and all these things happening in a row that are um kind of the chaotic Jim Carrey comedy I think people were expecting to a certain degree. So
Hmm.
it kind of scried it. If you were going in there for that, you probably feel like you got your money's worth for some of those scenes.
It's true. Yeah, there was just enough, like
Yeah.
almost just enough. But it is fun, like everything that you mentioned, it was like, again, it's an insane show to think about, but it was a
Right.
construct of the show. Like the
Hmm.
fire was like a FX
Right. You can just
element,
drive
which
right
was really
through
fun,
it. Yeah.
right? And you're freaking out. I thought that all of that is like really fun.
Hmm.
But again, it's total suspension of disbelief because
Right.
how could no just how Truman how.
So, as someone who's worked on the sets, you would not want to work on the Truman Show.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I really think of the extras, or
Hmm.
they had a scene where the back of the elevator was out and it was the
Yeah.
extras. And then you're like, well, are the buildings not real? Has he not been in all the buildings? Again,
Right.
me trying to think
Well,
through
like,
how this town works is really
and
hard.
on that too, it's like there is one moment where his wife and his mother are encouraging him like, oh, stay home and like your favorite programs on it, some like nightly movie thing. It's a
Yeah.
movie about a guy who decides staying in his hometown is really the best thing to do, and it's saying a bunch of actors that are not real, and it's like we don't get much more of that because all the TV and movies he watches fabricated, so
Yep.
is there a
Yeah.
certain level of some of this naivete is because he hasn't seen a movie, he hasn't read a book where
Yeah.
um he doesn't know what the back of an elevator should look like.
Hmm.
And enough to know that what a
Yeah.
set looks like, what it doesn't. So I imagine that's got to be part of it. Is that he what media he can consume has to be very limited. He's almost always listening to classical music,
Right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and when you do have the college party, it is like a rockabilly group, even though
So
this
true.
is
Yeah. Like a doo-wop.
presumably like the late 70s, early 80s, So
It's pretty weird. I mean,
yeah.
we're talking elements of like total propaganda too. So
Yo, yeah.
it has to be. I mean, it has to be an aspect of that because there was so the whole town is fabricated
Right.
propaganda. So,
Mm,
it was in thinking about it that way, like it was extremely effective in showing that, uh, like creating that fake town
yeah.
vibe. The fakeness of it all is very uncanny, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, this movie, while being funny, is very disturbing because you
Yeah.
have again, you can't help but wonder the motives of what are these people, why are they doing this, and
Hmm.
um I think that's an interesting thing about the way Ed Harris plays Christoph and the way it's written. Like obviously he's, you know, rich and famous for coming up with this and directing it, and there's this is largely being funded by, I mean, it's entirely being funded by advertising money
Yeah,
and
that's right.
just kind of cheap swill that is just being sold. But
Hmm.
Ed Harris also really believes he's doing something with this show. He really
Right.
thinks this is significant. Like he's um seems to live on the set in this kind of
Yeah.
like director's dome. And that's another thing we should mention. He's constantly directing. We do see a lot of that,
Hmm.
telling people what to say, telling where to move the camera, which one to cut to while we're
Hmm.
having these dramatic. So you have like the friend trying to have an earnest heart to heart,
Right.
and the guy is trying to be a good friend, but also is trying to play a good friend, but also we got to convince him to stay here. And it's a really sweet moment of friends talking, but it's also then you keep cutting back to the artifice of now lower this light, you know,
Yeah.
and now this say
Well,
this line.
yeah, even I was gonna say Kristoff is feeding him the line the whole time,
Right.
and the friend is so emotional and even starts to cry. Like
Yeah.
that was pretty well done because it's a hostage situation, and I
Yeah,
mean
exactly.
it must show that he I like it did show that he cared a lot about Truman and their relationship that they
Yeah.
fabricated, but that they had.
Right.
Hmm.
And then you have the moments where he's just can't even pretend he doesn't know what to say. He's lost Truman when they're going to look. And bottom
Oh
line
yeah.
is he's at one point the wife leaves him, and he just kind of pretends he's going through stuff in the basement then is able to effectively hide. And so
Yep.
you just have friend panicked on TV, like, I don't know where he is. And
Yeah.
the the cut transmission for the first time in like 30 years.
Oh
So
yes. The jarring moment
yeah,
for viewers at home.
right. Um, I think one of the moments that I lost the most sense of belief is it's a great visual of Jim Carrey is on this I think a skipper, I don't know, some kind of little ship that he's sailing.
Hmm.
And it's like he hasn't and I should say they're supposed to be in Florida. This is supposed to be in Sea Haven, Florida. And
Mm.
actually I can't remember if they said it was in Florida. They shot in Florida though, but it's supposed to be a seaside town.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of boating here. So but he hasn't gone sailing since his dad died. He now knows his dad didn't die, thankfully.
Yes.
Um, knows he's in a show or knows something's happening, but still, how does he know what to do when the storm is happening? There is a storm that does nearly take him out. It is genuinely
Yeah.
kind of frightening because you have a little bit of
Mhm.
like, yeah, a trained sailor could die, and this is a
Yeah.
studio trying to fuck with them, and
Literally.
yeah,
And at the will of Kristoff, he's egging it on. Like he says,
yeah,
keep going. And Paul Giamatti, who plays one of our controller guys,
mm,
he kind of shows he doesn't want to, and he still has to he still has to put on full blast, I guess,
yeah,
on on the weather
right,
remote. I don't know how that works, but that's what he did, and yeah, he almost he almost doesn't make it. I think that's for
yeah,
the I'm
right.
sure that's for the show as well, but it was the scene was nice because it was very much Kristoff like just being pissed at
Mhm.
him for leaving his perfect world, basic his
Right.
doll kind of
Because
escape being
I think Kristoff
disobedient.
generally thinks he's going to be able to talk him out of this, and
Yeah.
is kind of smug about it and is generally surprised when he leaves.
Hmm.
Also, the movie just ends when he leaves, which is great. You
Yes.
have everyone
Yeah.
kind of cheer, but then you don't have obviously the woman's not in Fiji. So, like how are they going to figure out how are they
I
going to find
know.
each other? Who knows? So,
The logistics of it all are just really hard to because he exits through a black door, very
yeah.
very poetic and everything. But then again,
Yes.
I think like who's gonna give this man therapy for 30 years of
Right.
being
How
fully manipulated and
many
lied to?
how many like ambulance chaser like lawyers
Yeah,
it's like are just like showing or like already there when he
yeah.
was just outside.
Like, is he a star now? Is
Yeah,
he a celebrity? It just doesn't make sense.
right.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have rewatched it, Megan. I really liked it. And yeah, I hadn't seen it in a long time, so it was very fun. Um, we've covered three
Nice.
Peter Weir movies now. They're all really different. So he's
I know.
yeah,
That's been the fun part for me is I think I didn't recognize him as a director now, but now I'm
yeah,
starting to see like the instance the touches of him, I guess. And the
yeah.
cinematography's they this movie is like really doing a lot. Like there's so much
Hmm.
editing, there's so much that like
Right.
has to be done and
Mm.
it's in that sense pretty masterfully done, I would say.
Yes, I would say so. I think those are kind of the maybe the big three connections is always no matter how strange the story is they always feel very human. Um,
Nice.
the cinematography is always incredible, and
Yeah.
I would say the production design as well, because all three of these movies are kind of period pieces,
Yeah.
that we've touched on. This weird fake town stuck in the 50s. So,
Yeah.
um, which I don't know. I don't know how much of. I don't think it's fair to say this fully started the trend, but I think you had Pleasantville not that long after this, and then you had like
Hmm.
the remake of Stepford Wives. But I kind of think almost immediately since after the 50s, we've always wanted to go back there aesthetically, at least. It's always been kind of fun
Yeah.
to, I mean, like Happy Days came out in the 70s, there's something about it that is just the post-war optimism.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
the
true.
the New Deal. I'm not saying, folks, I think we should return to that, but it's something about the aesthetic just, I mean, David Lynch went back to it often. So
Hmm.
something about it
I
works.
forget too. I mean, it was a big time for marketing in general. I know
Yeah.
that it was a big time for print ads and like
Mm, right.
typography type stuff is
Mm,
very there's a little bit going on in the movie, especially with the ads and all the products and stuff. So it's fun
mm,
for like a rewatch to just kind of focus on that design element, but
sure.
it might be touching on that as well because of the time period of the 50s and like so ad heavy. I know that it was
Yeah.
a big time.
Yeah, that's very true.
But yeah, folks, I this made it to my list. I think The Truman Show is a very if anything, a very memorable movie. Like it is
Mm,
there's nothing really like it, and anything that's kind of like it is pretty um of course maybe inspired, but also like it could be Show was kind of the first. So I think you want to watch it to one, know the Truman Show effect, and that's a big
yeah.
like phenomenon now, and that plot is pretty well fleshed out in here, and like it's very interesting like um mind game that you're playing. Uh, but also it's a pretty I think it's a top like Jim Carrey movie that is a necessity to
Yeah.
see him at his best, basically, in my opinion.
I fully agree. Yeah, I think this is a very fun movie that definitely raises some questions that are interesting to think about, regardless of how much you get lost in or not. I was getting lost and I was having a great time watching this, but
Yeah,
it is also just fascinating to think about how similar this movie is to a lot of reality shows now.
yeah,
How does a reality TV show that's on Netflix do advertising? How does
yeah,
um how are they hand fed lines, etc. So
yeah.
um yeah, I would highly recommend it and um see more Peter Weir movies. They're very good. So
It's true. It's a
um
good like if you're into marketing, you better watch this movie. It's
yeah,
a
that's
good
true too. Yeah.
you'll laugh a lot.
Do you have a recommendation ready, Megan, or do you need a minute?
I could give one, so I could give one basically.
Okay,
Is it? I'll give my little spiel here.
cool. Let's hear it.
So, folks, I was telling Seth that I came in kind of blind for my recs because I was really trying to think of movies that Truman Show reminded me of, and we kind
Hmm.
of touched on it basically in the episode. It reminds me a lot of Stepford Wives,
Yeah,
which is true, and I know I've mentioned it before in the podcast of like thing of like that parody aspect that comes through a
yeah.
lot. So I think I was kind of plumb out of movies that I wanted to like connect with Truman Show really, and
Yeah.
I'm okay to give a Jim Carrey rec. I'm
Okay.
like I
Fun.
talked about it was all right. But I will say that like the movie or Truman Show specifically really reminded me of I think a very modern where I could see them literally doing a remake of it or something very similar would be like a Black Mirror, which is a TV show
Mm,
that I really
sure.
enjoy, and I think that I enjoy it, but like I that's to say to give you a little bit even more props to what this movie really does because they're not relying on any like where you have to give up to the idea of technology.
Mm,
It
right.
kind of is non-existent. Then obviously or like we're at a different era in this piece, but I think it's really nice to kind of just give it over to this idea of a completely fully fabricated like working and running TV show instead of just
Sure.
glitch in the matrix kind of aspect, which could happen in a Black Mirror episode. I could like really easily see it. And I think it would be fun
Yeah.
too. But I do recommend Black Mirror as a TV show for
Cool.
it. I find it very, it's a really good like modern twisty horror, like
Mm.
how Truman Show I'm sure was at the time and like kind of continues to be for media, like traditional media platforms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that I feel as though it inspired Black Mirror in many ways.
I would imagine so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, I don't have a related one. This just
Yeah.
popped to me. Um, I'm gonna recommend the 1994 version of Little Women, the one by Gillian
Oh,
Armstrong.
good.
Have you seen
Uh-huh.
that one, Megan?
So not fully, not all the way through.
Okay, because I think we both talked about I do really like the Greta Gerwig version,
Yeah.
and I'm certain that I saw this version at some point, you know, as a child. This is one of those movies that's been adapted so many times.
Yeah.
I think the first one was a silent movie or something, but watched this one fully first time, and I gotta say I like it better than Greta Gerwig's, and I really like Greta Gerwig's,
Really?
but Winona
Yeah.
Ryder and Christian Bale as leads uh, work for me. I really love them both.
Nice.
There's there's not a single scene in this movie where you don't think Winona Ryder's Joe won't absolutely punch somebody, and that's a great
Really?
way to play Joe.
Cool.
And
That's
but it's a
good.
very fun, very different adaptation that is very much worth checking when you think about just kind of an older version of something. Um, you know, this is not like that old comparatively, but it is, I think, a very interesting. Also directed by a woman director, so I think was very much
Oh,
focused on the
nice.
feminist elements of it. And there's a lot more
Cool.
talk about the family's political views and how those are um,
Mm.
opposed to a lot of people, especially being abolitionists. Um,
Oh, okay.
so, but I don't know, it was such a fun, high energy movie that just it does not feel stuffy. It didn't feel anything like that. It just I think everything that people said about the Greta Gerwig one is also true about this one. I just
Yeah.
like the cast a little bit better. So, yeah,
Nice.
very fresh,
Cool.
fun, alive film movie.
I do have to see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like Greta's
cool.
good. Like she could like extract almost that
Yeah,
essence, which is great.
right.
But
Absolutely.
you gotta see the
Yeah,
source work.
exactly. And I think Greta's is less linear, which is very fun. Could
Okay.
be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. Also, little Kristen Dunst is in this one too. That's always fun.
Fun.
Um, cool.
Nice.
Well, folks, that does it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We are on YouTube now, in addition to Instagram and Blue Sky, so
That's
you
right.
can listen to us there. Also, all the usual suspects, Apple, Spotify. I don't thinking all the other ones. Any other podcatcher, we should be there.
That's
So,
our main one.
yeah, exactly. So,
But we are
if you
there, and thanks for listening.
thanks for listening. And if you don't mind giving us that subscribe button, does help. Thanks.
Yeah. All right.